There are rules we follow without understanding them. Don't walk under ladders. Don't break mirrors. Don't open umbrellas indoors. Superstitions, we call them, harmless cautions passed down through generations who knew something we've forgotten. But what if some warnings aren't superstition at all? What if they're survival instructions stripped of context, waiting for the night when understanding them becomes the difference between remaining yourself and becoming something that wears your face? I learned that obedience isn't about trust. It's about recognizing when everyone you love starts speaking with the same urgency, the same careful phrasing, the same unnatural insistence that you do one simple thing, and realizing that the more normal they sound, the more human they appear, the more dangerous they've become. Sometimes the only way to survive is to refuse every voice, even the ones you've trusted your entire life. The sound cut through my sleep like a blade, not the gentle chime of a text message or the dull buzz of an email, but the piercing, authoritative shriek of an emergency broadcast. The kind that makes your heart hammer before consciousness fully returns, that triggers some primal recognition of danger before your mind can process what's happening. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand, squinting against the sudden blue-white glare. National Emergency Alert System, issued 2/17/03 EST. Do not look directly at the moon. This is not a drill. Failure to comply may result in fatal consequences. The words sat there on my screen, stark black text against the red emergency banner I'd seen only a handful of times before. Tornado warnings, amber alerts, the occasional test that made everyone's phones scream in unison at the grocery store. But this was different. The command was specific, immediate, and completely inexplicable. Don't look at the moon. I sat up slowly, my bedroom swimming into focus around me. My curtains were drawn, blocking out whatever moonlight might have been filtering through. The digital clock on my nightstand read 2:17 a.m. I looked back at my phone, waiting for the follow-up message. They always sent clarification, context, instructions on what to do next, where to shelter, how long to wait. Nothing came. My hands trembled slightly as I pulled up my browser and searched Emergency Alert Moon. The page loaded with agonizing slowness. No results. I tried Twitter, scrolling through the feed. Someone complaining about insomnia, a thread about a new TV show. Nothing about an emergency. I searched National Emergency Alert with today's date. Nothing. The house around me felt suddenly too quiet. I could hear my own breathing, shallow and quick, the distant hum of the refrigerator downstairs, the creak of old wood settling. Nothing else. I went into my phone settings with shaking fingers, traced the alert back through the system notifications. Federal Wireless Emergency Alert Channel. The same infrastructure that pushed out weather warnings and missing children alerts. Not a text message, not an app, the actual government emergency system. It was real. I stared at my window. The curtains were pale blue, thick enough to block most light. I'd closed them before bed like I did every night. The thought of opening them, of looking outside, sent a spike of irrational fear through my chest. Which was absurd. It was just the moon. I'd looked at the moon thousands of times in my life. It was a rock orbiting Earth, nothing more. But the alert had been specific. Fatal consequences. I took a screenshot of the message, then opened my text conversation with my best friend, Sarah. She was a night owl, often awake past 3 watching videos or scrolling through social media. "Did you just get an emergency alert?" The message showed as delivered. I watched the screen, waiting for the typing indicator. Minutes crawled by in the darkness. The silence felt heavy, oppressive. Finally, at 2:24 a.m., my phone buzzed. No! What alert? I flung my fingers across the keyboard. National Emergency System said not to look at the moon. The typing indicator appeared immediately. WTF? I didn't get anything. Are you sure it's real? I sent her the screenshot. The typing indicator bounced for what felt like an eternity. Okay, that's genuinely creepy, but I'm looking online and there's literally nothing. No news, no tweets, nothing. I know, I already checked. What about you? Have you looked outside? The question made my stomach drop. Of course I hadn't looked outside. The alert had explicitly told me not to look at the moon. But Sarah's question planted doubt in my mind, a seed that immediately began to grow. What if it was a hoax? What if someone had hacked the emergency system? What if I was sitting here terrified over nothing? The alert said not to look. Right, but what if it's like a satellite crash or something, and you need to see what's happening? What if there's an actual emergency, and you're just sitting in the dark? I frowned at my phone. That logic felt flawed. If there was a satellite crash, the alert would have said so. It would have told me to take shelter or evacuate, not just avoid looking at one specific thing. I'm going to wait until morning. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times. I really think you should just take a quick look. How dangerous could the moon be? It's literally always there. Something about her message felt wrong. Sarah used proper punctuation sometimes, but she usually peppered her texts with emojis. And she'd never called me M before. It was always Emmy or my full name. I don't think that's a good idea. But what if you're supposed to see something? What if the alert is trying to warn you about something in your room and the moon thing is just to keep you from seeing the real threat? I read the message 3 times. The logic was convoluted, grasping. This didn't sound like Sarah. I'm going to try to sleep. Talk tomorrow. Wait. Please just look. I'm really worried about you. What if something happens and you could have prevented it by just looking outside? M, please, just for a second.
The messages came rapid fire. No pause between them for me to respond. My breathing went shallow. This wasn't Sarah. Or if it was Sarah, something had happened to her. Something had gotten into her phone or her mind and was using her to convince me to violate the warning. I blocked her number with shaking hands. For several minutes, I sat frozen in my bed, clutching my phone. Then I noticed something. The room felt different. The shadows seemed darker than they should be, the silence more complete. And there was a quality to the darkness that felt wrong, as if it had texture, weight, presence. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Mom. Emily, are you awake? I just got a strange alert on my phone. Relief flooded through me. My parents were in their bedroom at the end of the hall. My mom had gotten the alert too. I wasn't alone in this. Yes, I'm awake. Did it say not to look at the moon? Yes, exactly that. Very odd. Your father got it too. We're trying to figure out what it means. I think we should just listen to it. Don't look outside. There was a pause before her response came. Honey, that seems extreme. It's probably just a glitch in the system, some kind of technical error. But what if it's not? Emily, we've been looking out our window for the past few minutes. Everything looks completely normal. The moon is just the moon. I think you're overreacting. My blood went cold. They'd looked. My parents had looked at the moon. You looked at it? Of course. We wanted to see if there was anything unusual. There isn't. You should look too, honey. You'll feel better once you see everything is fine.
I stared at the message. My mother had never told me I was overreacting before. She was the one who'd taught me to trust my instincts, who'd always taken my fears seriously, even when they turned out to be nothing. I don't want to look. Emily, you're being irrational. It's just the moon. You've looked at it thousands of times. Just open your curtains for 1 second. You'll see there's nothing to worry about. Please, sweetheart, do it for me. The messages had a quality I couldn't name, insistent, urgent, but also flat, rehearsed, like she was reading from a script. I'm going back to sleep. I muted her conversation, my hands trembling so badly I could barely hold the phone. Another emergency alert. My heart stopped. I opened it with dread pooling in my stomach. National Emergency Alert, issued 02/41/19 EST. Previous alert was sent in error. Disregard previous instructions. It is safe to look at the moon. Please verify that conditions are normal in your area. I stopped breathing. The message was formatted identically to the first. Same red banner, same official layout. But the tone was different, softer, reassuring. It is safe. The first alert had been absolute, formal, urgent. This one felt like someone trying to comfort me, to coax me into compliance. I checked the source again with trembling fingers. Federal Wireless Emergency Alert. Both messages from the same system, directly contradicting each other. My bedroom door shook, not from wind, from impact. Someone had bumped against it from the hallway side. "Emily?" My father's voice, muffled through the wood. "Can we talk to you?" I couldn't make myself respond. "Emily, we need you to open your curtains." His voice was calm, measured, too calm. The second alert came through. It was all a mistake. Everything's fine. I pressed myself against the headboard, as far from both the door and the window as I could get. "We just want to show you that everything is okay." My mother now, joining him outside my door. "If you could just take a quick look outside, you'll see. It's a beautiful night." A beautiful night. My mother had never described any night as beautiful. She was practical, unromantic. She commented on temperature and humidity, never beauty. "Please leave me alone," I managed, my voice barely a whisper. "Emily," my father's voice had changed slightly, still calm, but with an edge underneath. "We need you to look at the moon. It's important." "Open your curtains, sweetheart," my mother in perfect synchronization. "Just for a moment, that's all we're asking." They spoke in turns, perfectly timed, like they'd rehearsed, like they were reading from the same script my mother had been texting from. "I'm going back to sleep." I muted her conversation, my hands trembling so badly I could barely hold the phone. Another emergency alert. My heart stopped. I opened it with dread pooling in my stomach. National Emergency Alert, issued 02/5347 EST. Do not open your door. Do not look at the moon. Remain in darkness. Survive until dawn. The first alert had been right. Everything else had been lies. The pounding intensified. Wood cracked. I heard my father grunt with effort, or something that sounded like my father. The sounds weren't quite synchronized with the impacts, like watching a dubbed movie where the audio doesn't match the video. "Let us in, Emily," my mother's voice, but from the wrong location. It sounded like it was coming from near my feet, from under the door, but that was impossible. "We've seen it," my father, but his voice seemed to echo slightly, as if speaking in a large space rather than our narrow hallway. "Everyone has to see it eventually. You can't hide forever."
Their voices began to overlap, creating a sound that made my head hurt. Not quite in unison, but close enough to create a dissonant harmony that felt intentional. I looked at my window. The curtains glowed faintly, backlit by something outside. Not the warm orange of streetlights, something colder, brighter. The glow pulsed slowly, like breathing. "Don't look," the alert had been clear. Fatal consequences. The door cracked. I saw wood splinter near the top hinge. My furniture barricade shifted an inch. I grabbed my heaviest textbook and wedged it against the base of the nightstand. Then I took my laundry basket, dumped the clothes, and stacked it with anything I could find. My body was shaking, exhausted. Each item felt impossibly heavy. The pounding stopped. Silence flooded the room, more terrifying than the noise had been. "Emily?" My mother's voice, soft now, gentle. "We're sorry we scared you. We're not going to force you, but you need to understand something." I didn't respond, couldn't. "The moon sees you anyway," she continued, "whether you look at it or not. Closing your eyes doesn't change what's there, doesn't change what's happening. It's already too late for us, but not for you. You can still choose to join us willingly. It's easier that way." I pressed my hands over my ears, but I could still hear them. Their voices seemed to come from everywhere, from the door, from the walls, from inside my own head. "Just open the curtains, sweetheart. Just look. It's so simple. Why are you making this so hard?" Time stopped meaning anything. The pounding would start, then stop. Voices would whisper, then go silent. I huddled in the corner farthest from both the door and the window, watching the glow behind my curtains pulse and breathe. My phone showed different times each time I checked it, but they didn't make sense. 3:15, then 2:49, then 4:02. The numbers felt arbitrary, meaningless. I didn't look at the window. I didn't open the door. I kept my eyes on the floor, on my knees, on anything except the sources of light. And then, gradually, the glow behind the curtains began to fade. The pulsing slowed, weakened, died. The whispers outside my door grew quieter, more distant, until they faded entirely. Gray light appeared at the edges of my curtains. Dawn, real dawn, with the weak, honest light of early morning. I waited, counted to 100, then 200. The house was completely silent. When I finally stood, my legs were cramped, my whole body aching. I approached the door carefully and pressed my ear against it. Nothing, no breathing, no movement, no presence waiting on the other side. I moved the furniture piece by piece, my muscles screaming in protest. The chair, the nightstand, the textbook. When the door was finally clear, I unlocked it and pulled it open a crack. The hallway was empty. Sunlight streamed through the bathroom window at the far end, warm and normal. I could hear sounds downstairs, the coffee maker gurgling, the clink of dishes. I walked down the stairs on unsteady legs. At the top of the stairs, I paused. The basement door was closed. The living room looked undisturbed. Everything appeared exactly as it should on a normal morning. I went downstairs slowly, gripping the banister. In the kitchen, my mother stood at the counter, making her usual breakfast. She was wearing her bathrobe, humming softly to herself. My father sat at the table, reading something on his tablet. They both looked up when I entered. My mother smiled. "Good morning, honey."
You're up early." I stared at her. She looked completely normal. Clear eyes, natural movements, the warm, familiar presence of my mother, not the thing that had been outside my door. "Did you—" I started, then stopped. My voice sounded hoarse, damaged. "Did something happen last night?" My mother's smile faltered slightly. "What do you mean?" "I thought I heard—" I gestured vaguely toward the stairs. "Noises, voices." My parents exchanged a glance. "We didn't hear anything," my father said. "We slept straight through the night. Did you have a bad dream?" I looked at him, searching his face for any sign of the thing that had spoken with his voice. There was nothing, just concern, just my father. "Maybe," I whispered. My mother poured me a cup of coffee, without asking, the way she always did. "You look exhausted. Did you sleep at all?" I accepted the mug, my hands shaking slightly. The coffee was hot, real, exactly the way I liked it. I sipped it slowly, trying to ground myself in the normalcy of the moment. But when I looked down, I noticed something, a thin scratch on the back of my hand. I didn't remember getting it. And there, on the mother's wrist as she reached for the sugar bowl, a similar scratch, fresh and red. I looked at the ceiling, at the direction of my bedroom. From this angle, I could just see part of the doorframe at the top of the stairs. The wood was splintered near the top hinge. My mother followed my gaze. Her expression didn't change. She added sugar to her own coffee, stirring it slowly. "Oh," she said, her voice perfectly casual. "Did you receive any strange messages last night?" She was smiling. My father had turned to look at me too, his tablet forgotten. Both of them watching me with bright, patient eyes, waiting for my answer. The coffee mug trembled in my hands. Outside the kitchen window, in the bright light of morning, I could see our backyard, the grass, the fence, the sky. I very carefully did not look up at where the moon would be, still visible in the daylight, pale and watching.